My name is Mira, and for the last 10 years, my existence has resembled a mirror, endlessly reflecting the same monotonous routine, day in and day out. Each morning unfolded with a well-known cadence, the alarm clock's buzz shattering the tranquility of dawn, while the scent of freshly brewed coffee enveloped the kitchen, a soothing balm amid the tumult. Michael, my husband, hurries about, casting nervous glances at his phone, the burden of the day looming over him as he prepares for his work in downtown Santiago. As I stood there, the doorbell resonated through the stillness, a ghostly reminder of his absence, leaving me enveloped in solitude. Michael embodies goodness in his very essence. He is someone I can rely on, never misinterpreting my intentions, always diligent and serious about his responsibilities. Yet, there exists a part of him that feels distant, almost unapproachable, leaving me with a profound sense of longing for warmth and connection. His heart seems entirely consumed by his work, allowing scant space for anything beyond it. In those fleeting moments, our words tend to hover in the dim light, constrained by necessity, allowing a wealth of unexpressed thoughts to hang in the air between us. It seems as though we are simply coexisting within the same space, rather than genuinely engaging as partners in this marriage. For years, I persuaded myself that this was simply the nature of married life, that it encapsulated its very essence. Yet, beneath the facade, a deep-seated feeling of invisibility quietly resided within me. Amidst the whirlwind of life surrounding us, there stands Buddy, our cherished boxer dog, though in reality, he is hers. When he entered our lives as a tiny puppy, we embraced him with the hope that he would safeguard our home. Yet, for me, Buddy transcended that role. He became another cherished companion, a creature to nurture and adore. In all honesty, I come to the realization that I never genuinely devoted the time to comprehend him. He embodied a gentle spirit, a serene presence that enveloped our home in tranquility. On most days, he sought refuge in the garden, soaking in the sun's gentle embrace, or nestled in his bed in the living room, drifting into a serene sleep. Buddy and I barely uttered a word to each other. His heart raced with joy as Michael burst through the door, eager to greet him. However, my experience stood in sharp contrast. It seemed he grasped that in my world, he was simply present, not genuinely engaging with life. And so the days faded, one into the next. The house was in impeccable condition, the dinner artfully arranged, yet an unsettling silence resonated within me, filling my heart with an unshakable weight. It's remarkable to comprehend how something so seemingly mundane, such as an ordinary dog, could transform all my beliefs. I never envisioned that such a significant transformation could arise from such a diminutive being. Yet, I found myself on the cusp of understanding that Buddy was destined to be far more than merely a companion. He emerged as the singular presence that genuinely comprehended my essence. It was a morning that mirrored countless others, yet within its unassuming nature lay a serene elegance. Michael had already departed for work, as he did each day, and I stood in the kitchen, gazing at my cold coffee, adrift in contemplation. The silence wrapped around me, a dense shroud that suffocated any semblance of solace. The soft murmurs of the wind outside wrapped around me like a tender hug, a striking juxtaposition to the chill that permeated my own abode. An overwhelming feeling of existence surrounded me. Buddy stood at the kitchen door, his gaze fixed on me, those eyes radiating a tranquility I hadn't felt in what seemed like ages. A deep stillness enveloped the surroundings. He stood motionless, silent as the grave. He stood there, his gaze fixed upon me with a fervor that hinted at an understanding of emotions I found difficult to express. For a brief instant, I was tempted to look away from him, but his gaze possessed a profound intensity that made me hesitate. In the stillness, I remained, my heart burdened by the shadows of doubt, as I endeavored to decipher the enigma of his behavior. Was it possible that he genuinely grasped the profound intricacies of my feelings? A rich laughter bubbled up from within, my head shaking in joyful disbelief, resonating with the sheer delight that enveloped me. He is merely a dog. Mira, let us refrain from indulging in absurdity. In a surprising twist that left everyone astonished, Buddy veered in an unforeseen direction. He ascended with a measured grace, approaching me and gently laying his head against my leg. I stood there, paralyzed, as uncertainty enveloped me in a suffocating shroud, rendering me utterly bewildered about my next move. In that instant, it dawned on me that I had never forged a connection quite like this with him before. As my hand softly glided across his head, an unforeseen feeling enveloped me, a murmur of comfort resonating within my heart, reminding me that I was not solitary in this instant. That gesture, seemingly uncomplicated, carried a weighty meaning in that ephemeral instant, echoing profoundly within me. In the wake of that day, I became increasingly attuned to the delicate nuances that had once eluded my grasp. Like fleeting whispers carried by the breeze, every time I settled into the comforting embrace of the sofa, Buddy would select a place just a few paces away, his presence a silent affirmation of the unspoken connection we nurtured in those tranquil moments. On those challenging days, when my tears surged like an uncontainable tide, I would discover him there, resting silently by the threshold of my room. His presence served as a soft reminder of his understanding of the burdens I carried, patiently offering comfort through his quiet companionship. It was an experience that felt almost otherworldly, as though the cosmos had orchestrated a delightful surprise just for me. Though I held no expectations of him, he unveiled his heart, a striking contrast to my encounters with Michael, who always appeared to lack that same profoundness. In Buddy, I found an unyielding presence that surrounded me, untainted by conditions or expectations, a genuine bond that echoed profoundly within my very being. It seemed as though he genuinely understood the core of who I am. In a world where I frequently felt invisible, he genuinely saw me. A question loomed before me, one that had quietly resided in the recesses of my thoughts, waiting for the moment I would finally summon the bravery to face it. Is it possible that a dog could provide me with something that has been absent from my husband's offerings for quite some time? What implications would that hold for me? A dense knot constricted within my chest, an inescapable burden of feeling that clung to me relentlessly. For an extended period, I turned a blind eye to the profound yearnings nestled within my soul, until Buddy softly revealed the reality I had been evading. The memory of that morning with Buddy clung to my thoughts, a haunting resonance of feelings I found impossible to dispel. A warmth enveloped me, a feeling so authentic, yet it bore an unsettling undercurrent of fear that was difficult to overlook. It's just a dog, isn't it? I endeavored to persuade myself that my feelings were exaggerated, that it was unreasonable to feel such intense emotions. Every time Buddy approached me, his calm presence reminded me to breathe, grounding me in moments I felt lost. A wave of emotion washed over me, leaving me grappling with a sense of foolishness for attributing such weight to his actions. What was taking shape inside me? I endeavored to redirect my focus to different concerns, much like I had consistently done before. While I scrubbed the dishes and tidied the home, a deep silence wrapped around me, its heaviness nearly overwhelming. In the quietude of the house, the truth resided not merely in the stillness, but in the deep silence that surrounded my existence. Resonating within my connection with Michael, there was an emptiness, as though ensnared in a perpetual cycle. I crafted the meal, he delved into his duties, and when we eventually convened at the same table, it seemed as if an ocean lay between us. A compelling urge stirred within me to uncover the rationale behind it. He frequently pointed out that Michael is preoccupied, weighed down by a multitude of obligations. Yet, what of my own emotions and desires? Did I not possess a place of importance in your realm? When did we begin to separate in such a manner? A surge of dread enveloped me at the realization of my own ignorance. And then there was Buddy, a guiding light amidst the chaos. In what seemed like a fleeting moment, that dog bestowed upon me a profound sense of fulfillment I had long been seeking over the years. Yet, beneath the surface, I grappled with the challenge of accepting the truth of it all. I discovered that I could not bring myself to confront it, for to do so would mean admitting to a profound unrest lurking beneath the surface of my being. The truth loomed over me, a burden I could no longer ignore, pressing down on my heart with an undeniable weight. I discovered a yearning for diversions, attempting to saturate the stillness with movement. I endeavored to cast aside those thoughts, yearning to discover a semblance of tranquility within my soul. Still, the fear remained, an unyielding specter haunting the recesses of my thoughts. What if it were genuinely the reality? What if my joy was intricately linked to something that Michael could not offer? Nevertheless, Buddy did. It is simply a dog. He repeated those words to me. But deep down, he recognized that the reality was much more intricate than it appeared. Buddy was never the problem. He mirrored the emptiness I had yet to confront within my being. On a quiet afternoon, I settled onto the couch, my gaze drifting out the window, yet my mind wandered far beyond the horizon, ensnared in a fog of thoughts and emotions that blurred the reality beyond my gaze. That day unfolded much like the myriad of days that had come before it. In Michael's absence, the house descended into an unsettling silence, while my thoughts churned with unvoiced fears I dared not face. At that instant, I felt an intense wave of emotion wash over me. Buddy found his place on the couch, a brief interlude of serene comfort enveloping us, a refuge amidst the chaos. It was a moment that took him by surprise, a break from the ordinary that reverberated with a lingering sense of doubt. He curled up next to me, his head softly resting on my leg, enveloping us in a serene moment of solace that felt both delicate and deeply meaningful. I stood there, momentarily paralyzed, astonished by the unanticipated warmth that enveloped me. As I looked at him, a deep understanding enveloped me. For the first time, I truly recognized the emotional support he had always provided, not just as a pet, but as a comforting presence in my life. I came across a presence that genuinely uplifted me. I softly stroked his head, and in that tranquil moment of connection, he reacted with a serenity that reflected my own feelings, a sensation that was both deep and soothing. It was as if a gentle release washed over me, a softening of the weight that had taken residence within, if only for a brief, ephemeral moment. In that instant, a gentle warmth wrapped around me, and for the first time in what seemed like forever, I felt a bond that lightened the burden of loneliness. Buddy held his tongue, his lips tightly closed, his curiosity lingering in the shadows, and his desires left unspoken. He stood before me, a silent figure, offering a gift I had not known I was lacking in my existence. Within the domain of our organization, a deep sense of comprehension prevails. A gentle warmth surrounded me, a feeling I had long neglected, and in that instant, I became immersed in deep thought. What is it about a dog that evokes such deep feelings within me? What makes this peace with Michael so difficult to grasp? The question hung in my thoughts, a flicker that slowly illuminated the myriad details I had been neglecting. In that ephemeral instant of solace that Buddy provided, I found myself pondering whether he might not be the only one holding the keys to the truths I yearned for. Perhaps the most profound inquiry wasn't focused on Buddy at all, but instead on my own path and comprehension. That afternoon in the armchair signified a pivotal moment. A profound change stirred within me, etching an everlasting impression on my soul. After countless years, a deep yearning within me called for transformation, a desire to break free from the shackles of a monotonous existence that had captured my essence. In a serene moment of reflection, I decided to embark on this journey alongside Buddy. The next day, I tenderly took hold of his leash, a swirl of anticipation and nostalgia washing over me, as I guided him through the comforting surroundings of the nearby park. In that moment, it felt almost insignificant. He strolled alongside me, his inquisitive nose probing each aroma that wafted by. As I pressed forward, wrapped in a serene reverie. As the days unfolded, I began to sense a deep and significant realization emerging within me. Buddy discovered delight not merely in the act of walking, but in the comforting warmth of my companionship by his side. Whenever my eyes landed on him, he would look up, as though searching for confirmation that all was well within his soul. With each passing day, those walks evolved into the most treasured moments of my daily routine. It was as if we inhabited a realm crafted just for us. A refuge designed exclusively for him and for me. There was no necessity for me to express my feelings or justify my silence. Buddy was there, a subtle essence that hung in the atmosphere. At first, I discovered myself engaging with him in a manner that seemed clumsy and hesitant, as though I were teetering on the brink of madness for having a dialogue with a dog. Indeed, those conversations became a wellspring of healing for me. Today, Buddy, I stumbled upon a flicker of connection that eased my sense of isolation. if only slightly. One afternoon, as we wandered under the gentle caress of the sun, I confided my thoughts to him. In that instant, devoid of any spoken words, his eyes communicated profoundly, expressing a profound comprehension that surpassed the very essence of language. Slowly, these fleeting instances stirred a sensation within me that I had long buried in the depths of my memory. Unfiltered, sheer delight. I began to notice the delicate nuances that had previously eluded me. Resting quietly in the corners of my consciousness, as I inhale deeply, the crispness of the air wraps around me, while the gentle rustle of leaves shares nature's whispered secrets. The sun's gentle touch envelops me, a soft reminder of the uncomplicated pleasures that life offers. The most unassuming moments rekindled the flicker of vitality within my tired spirit. As I stepped through the door and caught sight of Michael, an intense feeling of change washed over me, as Buddy surrounded me with his unwavering attention, companionship, and warmth. I couldn't help but observe that Michael remained unchanged, a steadfast figure in the periphery of my existence. He appeared distant, ensnared by the soft luminescence of his phone or the dancing shadows on the television screen, as though the reality surrounding him had dissolved into oblivion. The ache of acknowledging this disparity pressed down on my heart, yet I could no longer afford to ignore it. Buddy had evolved into an entity that transcended the mere definition of a pet. He occupied a cherished space within my heart, a genuine confidant in whom I could place my unwavering trust, and in countless ways, it has transformed into my refuge. Though I couldn't fully comprehend it, I sensed that those walks carried a meaning that transcended mere necessity. They were destined for my embrace. As the ambiance transformed within the confines of their dwelling, Michael started to perceive the delicate yet significant alterations taking shape around him. On a tranquil evening, as we lingered in our comfortable stillness, he placed his fork gently on the plate and directed his eyes toward me. "What is it that compels you to dedicate so many moments outdoors with your dog?" His inquiry hung in the air, evoking a sense of uncertainty within me, as I found myself teetering on the edge of curiosity and annoyance. Grappling with the unvoiced feelings that enveloped the moment, I raised my eyes, surprised by the unforeseen inquiry. His interest in my pursuits was a rare occurrence. "There's an undeniable warmth in the act of strolling alongside him," I responded, striving to maintain a buoyant tone. Yet, beneath the surface, I felt an unspoken significance hiding within his inquiry. As the days unfolded, the burden of unexpressed emotions and lingering disputes appeared to grow heavier. Michael began to express his thoughts with greater frequency, each comment imbued with a significance that hung palpably in the atmosphere. "Your attention seems to be directed towards Buddy, which leaves me feeling somewhat neglected. He may just be a dog, but he's become a comforting part of our family, a reminder of stability and presence. It is challenging to perceive him in any other light. It genuinely perplexes me the extent of importance you attribute to him." His words cut through me, leaving a lingering ache that echoed profoundly. In the depths of that pain, I uncovered a clarity I had long evaded. Michael and I sensed an abyss stretching between us, more profound than it had ever been, and it was evident that Buddy was not the source of this separation. Amidst the lingering disagreements that hung in the air, I discovered a sense of solace in my walks and treasured the tranquil moments shared with Buddy. As the days progressed, an undeniable sense of quiet strength began to take root within me, deepening with every fleeting moment. It wasn't solely Buddy who filled my heart with solace, it was the very essence of those moments that resonated deeply within me. This is a pivotal moment, an opportunity to reclaim my breath and shed the burden of feeling trapped. An afternoon remains etched in my memory, dense and formidable. Before Michael departed for work, we found ourselves ensnared in a disagreement, a moment that hung heavily in the air between us. An overwhelming void enveloped me, as if his words had drained every last bit of my vitality. Yet there was Buddy, looking at me with a calm confidence that seemed to say, "Don't worry, I'm here for you." As I led him to the park, a well-worn routine began to take shape. But in that instant, observing him sprint across the tapestry of fallen leaves, an overwhelming surge of emotion enveloped me, a sensation I hadn't felt in what seemed like forever. A deep wave of relief sweeps through me, wrapping my soul in a tender caress. The burdens that once pressed heavily upon me have dissipated, giving way to a serene calm that echoes profoundly within my spirit. In that instant of understanding, a surge of relief enveloped me. I came to understand that I was not irreparably broken, rather. I found that even the smallest glimmers of happiness could light my way forward. Buddy stood as my most steadfast companion, a reliable presence in a realm that frequently seemed unpredictable. Every delicate movement he made, from the soft arc of his tail to the reassuring manner in which he nestled next to me, stood as a touching reminder that even in the most challenging times, there remained a flicker of hope and value. That night pressed down on my heart, as Michael and I barely spoke throughout the day. When I finally found the courage to reach out, his response was nothing more than a distant gesture, as he withdrew into the glow of his phone, leaving me feeling more isolated than ever. I stepped into the room, a weight pressing down on my heart, an uneasy knot forming in my chest. The burden of solitude, a feeling that had settled into my being, pressed down on my heart with an undeniable heaviness. As I sat on the edge of the bed, a surge of emotion enveloped me, and I could feel the tears begin to flow down my cheeks. It was an emotion profound, a subtle pain that resided in the dim corners of my heart. It was a deep void that slowly wrapped around you, rendering you lost and aimless, a lingering echo of everything that is missing. In that instant, the gentle resonance of his footsteps caressed my ears, awakening a profound sensation within me. With a gentle push, Buddy opened the door, and in that instant, he moved forward with steadfast confidence. Approaching me, he nestled quietly by my feet, offering the kind of silent companionship that speaks volumes without needing words. Even in my silence, he appeared to understand the unvoiced sentiments that hung in the air around us. He stood up from his chair and walked to his bed, a movement so uncommon for him, one that typically demanded a gentle push or a quiet plea. That seemingly simple act awakened profound emotions within me. I held him tightly, letting the tears flow freely, unimpeded by any hesitation. As I tenderly touched him, a profound sense of gratitude enveloped me, mingling with a deep, aching sorrow that rendered me adrift, uncertain of how to steer through the tumult of my feelings. Buddy found himself enveloped in a silence that weighed upon him, words imprisoned within, yearning for release. He could not guarantee that all would end well, yet the very core of his existence conveyed a profound message. In that moment, I understood how much I had yearned for connection, and how even a loyal companion could remind me of what I was missing. It was remarkable how something as ordinary as his presence was transforming into a vital support for me, a wellspring of resilience in my battle to persevere. I lingered there, ensconced in his embrace, a thought stubbornly clinging to my mind. What is it about my bond with him that feels so distinct from what I experience with Michael? A question loomed before me, shrouded in dread. It was a fleeting moment of insight, a gentle murmur of comprehension that echoed profoundly within my being. The burden of certainty settled upon me, as though the truth had lingered in silence. Eager for my recognition, what Buddy extended to me went beyond simple gestures. It was precisely what I had longed for all those years. A deep warmth surrounds us, softly reminding us of the attention we seek and the unwavering love that nourishes our souls. In that softly illuminated space, a deep understanding enveloped me, as though a long-hidden fragment of my essence was at last fracturing into shards. The murmurs of my heart could no longer be ignored, compelling me to heed its call and contemplate its deeper truths. Michael was not the origin of the problem, nor did Buddy possess the solution. The absence pressed down on my heart, a lingering void that had overstayed its welcome, prompting me to reflect on its deeper meaning. The subsequent days and that night carried an unmistakably different essence. A flame flickered to life inside me, casting light into the shadows of my soul. In that instant, I wrestled with a deep sensation that was at once brave and accepting. A powerful force surged within me, unmistakable and fervent. One afternoon, as I stirred a pot of dinner, my hands seemed to dance autonomously, while my mind wandered into the depths of contemplation. In contemplating the past few months, I am profoundly touched by how Buddy has shed light on a facet of my existence that I once thought was irretrievably gone. To encounter the profound feeling of being authentically recognized, sincerely listened to, and profoundly cherished. It lies not in the eloquence of our speech or the magnitude of our actions, but in the genuine, unadorned presence we extend to each other. In the quiet of that kitchen, I at last confronted a truth I had long avoided, a revelation that had remained hidden in the depths of my heart for years. My marriage has shattered into fragments. Michael possessed his own admirable qualities, yet he ultimately did not embody the person I genuinely required in my life. His emotional absence cast a deep shadow within me, a void I struggled to understand for quite a while. A fragment of my essence felt absent, subtly shaping my emotions and thoughts unbeknownst to me. In that moment of clarity, illuminated by Buddy, I realized I could no longer look away. Buddy revealed to me the profound nature of unwavering love. In his presence, I discover a unique tranquility, a lack of expectations, a soft liberation from criticisms, and an escape from obligations. He stands beside me, presenting a gift I never thought I deserved to receive. His moments, his presence, his compassion resonate deeply. As I confronted this reality, a profound sorrow took root within me, a painful recognition of the chasm that lay between Michael and the reciprocity I yearned for. I could no longer ignore his presence in my life. This void was not of Buddy's creation, nor could it be remedied by leisurely walks or serene interludes. It was a matter of greater depth, one that awakened something inside me, a crack that had quietly widened over the years, now exposed before me, impossible to conceal with simple rationalizations. Leaning against the doorframe, I found my eyes drawn to Michael in the kitchen, the moment hanging delicately in the air. A tide of grief enveloped me as I beheld his deep estrangement, a vivid echo of all that we had once cherished together. Facing this truth enveloped me in a deep urgency, as I understood that it would demand a complete overhaul of my life. Yet, beneath the surface, I sensed the gravity of the moment bearing down on me, an awareness that this was indeed a pivotal juncture. It was a choice to seize the moment or watch it fade into the abyss of time. The struggle to ignore my profound desire for love, for connection, for that exhilarating sensation of truly experiencing life again became unbearable. After what seemed like an endless passage of time, I ultimately summoned the bravery to face the reality of my being. In the stillness of contemplation, I came to understand a significant lesson I had learned from Buddy. Genuine love does not cling with desperation. It does not dwell in ambiguity nor chase satisfaction in misguided realms. True love exists in its most authentic essence, unembellished and sincere. That encapsulated the core of my aspirations, the image I cherished deeply within my soul for my existence. In the days that ensued, a deep metamorphosis began to take shape within me, as I finally accepted the truth of my marriage and faced my genuine longings. A deep sense of clarity enveloped me, a clarity that had remained just out of reach for far too long. For the first time, an epiphany enveloped me. The matter reached far beyond merely Michael. I have come to understand that the problem resides within me, in that fragment of my being that I misplaced along this path. A version of myself I once held dear but ultimately abandoned. In my pursuit of harmony, I dedicated endless hours to establishing a semblance of control over my surroundings, striving to create an atmosphere that felt just right, fulfilling all the expectations that weighed upon me. A nagging sensation lingers within me, as if I've allowed something truly important to slip away unnoticed. The core of my happiness, my emotions flow profoundly, my yearnings and aspirations. Buddy had disclosed a truth to me in a way that no one else ever could. One morning, as we wandered under the expansive azure sky, I halted to admire him. He turned his head in my direction, his ears alert and his eyes emanating a deep sense of calm. I discovered myself in a kneeling position. Thank you, Buddy. Your support holds immense significance for me. Your steadfast support holds immense significance for me, and I am profoundly thankful for your faith in me during my most challenging times, for illuminating the truth that the ability to feel still dwells within me. I recognize that there remains potential for change within myself. In that ephemeral instant, a deep understanding enveloped me, urging me to welcome transformation and pursue an alternate journey. It had moved beyond the simple inquiry of whether Michael and I could restore our union. I found myself wrestling with a deep and significant inquiry. Is it possible for me to find my own salvation? Deep within, I sensed my worthiness for something greater, something authentic, and I understood that I could no longer stifle the calls of my heart. He emerged as a steadfast beacon amidst my emotional haze, casting light upon the way forward, the connection that reunited me with my authentic self. As I watched him flit playfully through the rustling leaves, a deep understanding enveloped me. I was certain that this would be the journey I would embark upon next. In my pursuit of wholeness, I contemplated whether it would be in the company of Michael or in solitude. Have you ever felt the profound intensity of emotion that I have? Have you found comfort in an unexpected person or thing, reminiscent of Buddy's experience? I would sincerely appreciate it if you could share your story in the comments. If this video struck a chord with you, I encourage you to express your appreciation by liking it, subscribing to the channel, and ringing the little bell for updates. In this manner, you will ensure that you do not overlook more poignant tales such as this. Your support profoundly moves me and fuels my passion to continue creating content that connects with you. Engaging in a conversation with Michael was akin to traversing a tempest, where every word bore the profound burden of my feelings. As the evening unfolded, following our shared meal, I stood from my chair and softly beckoned him to join me for a conversation. At first, it seemed he overlooked my existence, as if my words carried no significance in his gaze. He appeared adrift in his musings, a state he frequently found himself in. Yet this time, he was resolute in his intent to tackle the conversation directly, allowing no space for me to retreat. "Ah, Michael," I addressed him, my voice trembling with feeling. "It is time for us to engage in a dialogue. The burden of my circumstances feels insurmountable. The situation has reached a point where enduring it any longer feels intolerable. At this moment, I am surrounded by a deep solitude that presses down on my heart. It seems that the convictions I once held dear are gradually fading, prompting me to doubt everything I thought I knew." He looked up, a brief shadow of discomfort passing over his face. "Would you be so kind as to clarify your meaning for me? Where does it all begin?" His voice trembled, ensnared in a fragile interplay of skepticism and annoyance, casting a heavy silence around him. I bared my soul to him, expressing my thoughts with genuine honesty, welcoming the truth while opting to refrain from assigning blame. In that fleeting instant, raw honesty intertwined with deep compassion, revealing a profound vulnerability. I laid bare my soul, revealing the profound void that our estrangement had etched into my existence. It was through Buddy that I began to grasp the profound significance of this realization. His response took me by surprise, prompting a deep reflection on the nature of my own expectations. Might this be attributed to the presence of the dog? He conveyed his feelings with a surge of frustration. "Are you genuinely implying that a creature brings you greater happiness than I do?" In that ephemeral instant, a fragment of my being longed to withdraw, to allow the dialogue to hover in the atmosphere, unblemished and unanswered. Yet I discovered the resilience to remain, to advance onward in spite of the burden of doubt. In that instant, a profound weight enveloped our exchange. Despite his inability to fully comprehend my utterances, the exchange was pivotal, echoing not only between us but also deeply within my soul. "It transcends Buddy, Michael." This time, I replied with a deeper sense of certainty, inspired by the profound insights he illuminated for me. "We must embark on a journey to recover what has eluded us, if it still lingers in some shape or essence. However, if we choose to stay inactive, no change will ever occur." Michael lingered in silence, the burden of unvoiced thoughts pressing down around him, uncertain of how to shatter the tranquility that surrounded him. The reply was anything but encouraging, yet it also failed to deliver a definitive dismissal. In that instant, his quietude conveyed a wealth of meaning, unearthing a profound reservoir of contemplation and feeling that I could perceive. It sufficed for me, a silent accord between us, a realm where words held no need to exist. In that instant, Buddy stood as my unwavering anchor, stabilizing me amid the turmoil. That evening, following our sincere exchange, I found him, as was his custom, quietly awaiting me by the bedside. As he tenderly caressed his head, a profound realization enveloped me. The journey he was about to undertake would be laden with obstacles. Yet in that moment of clarity, I discovered a spark of hope within myself. A deep comprehension that I held the strength to confront whatever awaited me. With each step, time seems to stretch, inviting us to savor the unfolding journey that lies before us. The days that followed our conversation did not metamorphose into anything remarkable. Yet an unmistakable change stirred within me. Michael and I started to delve into more profound discussions, yet we navigated them carefully, as if we were softly stepping into the uncharted waters of a bond we once cherished but had since drifted away from. Amidst the lingering, uncomfortable silences and the palpable moments of distance, there were also tender, albeit small, advances that hinted at hope, yet an undeniable shift stirred within me. After what seemed like an endless stretch of time, Michael felt a profound change stirring within him. He came to understand that my joy was no longer bound exclusively to his choices or lack thereof. Through Buddy, I unearthed something profoundly significant. My well-being is entirely in my own hands. Buddy stood by my side, a constant presence, grounding me in times when doubt sought to invade my thoughts. His vigilant eyes and steadfast calmness stood as a touching reminder that I had unearthed something genuinely valuable. The courage required to delve deep and fully accept my own essence. I started to welcome experiences that had previously seemed unattainable. I devoted myself to self-care, discovering comfort in the written word and the soothing cadence of my stride. Life encompasses a vast array of experiences beyond merely strolling with Buddy.